One last trip around the sun this week. Welcome back in Inside the Game. Nate Wangler alongside Ryan Glinsky and his all-new bifocals. Look at that, man. You look like you should be on a commercial somewhere for something. You got are they you've always had those?
I've had glasses since I was in third grade.
Okay. All
Yeah, I've
right.
just always worn contacts. And with yesterday's U.S. Open Cup game, which I do have a Flint City hoodie on that I wore today, but it's too hot in here to wear a hoodie, so I took it off. Hey, Red Wings won yesterday too. So yeah, no, with yesterday how long it was, don't think I got home till like 11 or 10:30, 11 o'clock. And typically when you wear your contacts for like 15 plus hours or something like that, 12 plus hours, you should typically not wear your contacts like 7 hours later. So I'm gonna finally listen to the eye
Yeah.
doctor today for a change. So, and to be fair though, at the same time, I kind of like looked when I was like getting ready this morning. I kind of just looked at the glasses and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna throw you guys on instead of the contacts. Like, I don't feel like putting in contacts, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, no, when you wear your contacts so long, and they're still in, like you'll blink like all the time because they're so dry. So I figured not have my eyes dry again and wear the glasses. But I feel smart
Yep.
today. I feel really smart.
That's good. Yeah, you look very astute. Yeah, and it's good to listen to the eye doctor too. I mean, I feel I'm the same exact way when it comes to the dentist. Dentist is the big one for me. You know, it has all these recommendations on like here's this certain type of like mouthwash you use, and I'm like, no, it's all right. I'll just use Colgate, and then I go back, and then that's a problem. So, no,
Yeah, I
good on you.
use
It's smart choice.
for my teeth. I just got the basic like little flossers that you just throw out because I don't like ripping them off and like I just want to take it, throw them out, just do simple stuff.
Right.
I still got I got a mouthwash and then I got obviously brush my teeth, but yeah, no, I
Yep.
just like the easy just throw them out.
I still remember when you said, "quote I'm not a good flosser."
I'm not a
And
good
that
flosser,
is
I'll tell you that. Schrock said top of the morning, laddies. Dude, there
uh
was a couple
hi, welcome
Irishmen.
in.
There's a couple Irishmen on the field yesterday in the Flint City game, and I'm like, this is kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie.
They're from all over the place. Well, getting into that part of things, did want to mention this. I know we got to get to March Madness because it's funny how I feel like today is, we mentioned how yesterday is like the best day ever. I feel like today's the worst day ever because everyone looks around at their bracket that they were once again hopeful was
And
going
not
to
if their
carry
team
them to
wins.
the promised land and get them some money. And people like myself who picked BYU to go to the Final Four are not
Elite
having
Eight.
a great second day. That is wow. That is yeah. But anyways, let's get into Flint City a little bit. You and JT were out there all day yesterday handing out tickets, doing interviews. You guys kind of had access to the field. I was looking at some of your stuff. How was that experience? That must have been pretty fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I was gonna throw the highlights of the game up on
Oh
while we
yeah.
talk.
Yeah,
While we
sure.
talk, but no, it was an unbelievable game, unbelievable like atmosphere to be there as well. We're actually like on the opposite corner right now when that goal goes in. It was really cool, but no, it was an unbelievable experience. You know, starting off the day in Irene's as well. They were unbelievable. The food there, awesome. Like I'm a Polish person, so the pierogies of like they're a high bar. It's a high bar on if the pierogies are good or not.
Yep.
And yeah, no, they were unbelievable. The food, even Sarah Perkins, the owner, we sat down and did an interview with her. She was wonderful, really nice to us. Just everyone there, and it's really cool. I know. I asked you, and I didn't think that there was a golf simulator in restaurants, but then you're like, well, there's some here on this west side here. I'm like, I didn't know that. I've never been to a restaurant where there's golf simulators, but Irene's had everything. It had a restaurant, the restaurant bar part. It had like a library lounge spot too. It had golf simulators. It had arcade games. It had a patio where they have all the
Woo.
the where the live music is. I forgot.
Yeah.
Forgot where I was going with that one. But then we get to the game.
Yeah.
We set up there. We set up there a couple hours before. John and I have a great spot, and where our camera was and where we were doing our pregame show was right where the players walk out for the locker room. So that was a really neat experience. Then we had we were doing our pregame show and we were doing our picks, and we got the Flint City youth kids behind us cheering. Someone said that Flint was going to win 15-0, and I was like, okay, kid. Hey, I like the
all right.
audacity.
Hey.
Then we went up in the press box a little bit. Met a couple people. Grand Blanc Stadium, unbelievable. But the most important thing was not only did Flint City win, But the community came out for sure. I think there was over
Yeah.
3,000 people in the stands. It was packed. It was
Yep.
loud, and just an unbelievable overall experience. U.S. Open Cup draw for the next round happens today. So, and I think they can draw either DCFC or Indy 11 is the two sides they
Wow.
could potentially draw. So, it was unbelievable. Schrock says you have never lived until you have had to try and figure out pronunciations of team and Polish players. Schrock, I will tell you that this is our joke in our family. There's two ways to tell if someone's Polish. Either A, you have an SKI like I do in your last name, or there are just the most random grouping of letters in the history that can tell,
There's just
tell you
letters.
that. The joke
There's
is,
letters where they don't belong.
the joke in my family is
Yeah.
when God was creating the Polish people, that he just hit the keyboard. He was so tired that he just hit the keyboard, random letters spat out, and it was like God was like, okay, that's the last name right there. That's
Yep.
the Polish last
Yep.
name. That's
Yep.
no, you're 100% right. There was, thinking of the Polish national team, you had Blaszczykowski, you had Kirkowiak, Lewandowski wasn't that bad. You
Yeah,
had
this is a pretty
Wojciech
easy one.
Szczesny.
Yeah.
There was some
Yep.
unbelievable ones. Oh, Piszczek. No, there was some really good ones.
My favorite example, I grew up with a kid whose last name was Szczepanski, right? So just like imagine
That's also
the
a
name
Polish
Szczepanski.
national team player, Szczepanski.
Yeah. How many Z's would you say is in the name Szczepanski? Like, just saying it out loud, it sounds like
starts
there's
with,
might
it's got to
be
start with
one.
an S. Szczepanski definitely starts with an S, right?
SZ.
Yeah, that's how it would be. I would say there's probably 4 or 5.
There's 3 of them.
3.
It's
Okay.
3 Z's in Szczepanski. I don't know how you come up with 3 Z's in that name, but yeah, no. Schrock and I have very distinct memories of broadcasting games against. It was always Northwestern Ohio. That was always the school that they would go over to Europe, and they would do that. They would just essentially bring over pockets full of cash, and they would go up to European players and be like, "Hey, you might not cut it here at the professional level, but if you want to come play in the United States and get an education, we got a place for you." And that's literally what it was. Is like every other player spoke some sort of different language. They all spoke English because that's like the thing everywhere else. Like you got to learn English, but it was so broken that it was just so fun to. It was genuinely funny to listen to sometimes.
I don't know if
this
is like
how it goes.
if this is a Nate Wangler Schrock kind of inside joke, but he said it's up there
Might
with
be.
a men's soccer coach that had a click in his name doing PA. I don't know if that's maybe just I don't know. That's an inside joke.
Oh, I don't. I think I remember him telling me that story, but I think he had to pronounce someone's name that it was like, I think it was from like an African country. I don't know where, but you know how sometimes like they have like there's like a click in there. I don't.
Yeah,
I forget where or what, but you know what I mean. Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, it's the funny thing is when people get pissed at you for not like, especially like with Hispanic names, like people will be like, "Well, you didn't roll your R's," and I'm like, "Look at me. Do I look like I roll my R's?" I'm like, it would be more condescending if I rolled my R's versus not rolling my R's.
Julio Rodriguez.
Julio Rodriguez. It's like, do I look like a guy who talks that way?
Juan Soto.
Juan. Yeah, exactly. No, sorry. I'm a white Midwesterner. I'm not going to roll my R's like your racist father at a freaking restaurant, at the Spanish restaurant down the street. All right. I'm at Chi-Chi's. I'm not going to do that. All right.
Martin. That's an SNL skit. I forget what it was. It's like, baseball's so awesome because all of a sudden the guy who talks like this, then the Dominican guy shows up from Santo Domingo hasta Malte, and it's like, okay. I mean, he's not wrong because when I did Lugnuts PA one time, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got a little Hispanic when I was like, now batting, Ayo Libere Angeles. And I was like, dude, okay, that's
well,
sick.
PA, you can definitely have some fun with it. PA, you can definitely have some fun with it.
Cicelo Buthelezi? I don't know, Shark. That's the best I can come up with that.
Yeah. Schrock's a good PA voice, though. He sounds like the guy who voices the college game day commercials and all the ad reads. It's actually kind of funny.
Home Depot?
So
now, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about because that was the head coach in the Glory Road movie. That guy was in Ford versus Ferrari, and he was in...
I can picture him, but I can't come up with his name
He was
right now.
also
But yeah,
in one of my mom's favorite movies, Sweet
you
Home Alabama or something, some romantic movie.
maybe. Yeah, yeah. So I think you know where I'm going with it. I forget what his name is off the top of my head. But let's dive in here to hour number one and topic number one. You're looking it up? All right, let's see if Ryan can
Oh, that's the
decode
name.
who we're
That's not the
talking about here.
actor. Okay, who is Don Haskins in
It's the voice
movie?
guy, yeah.
Who plays Don Haskins? Josh Lucas.
Oh, okay.
Thank God my mom does not watch this show on the daily, or else she'd be really mad at me when I go home.
How dare you forget? But getting into topic number one here in hour number one, as always, thanks to everyone dropping by. Again, we got Tanner White coming up here at 9:30 Indoor Insights with Tanner White. We got some weird scenarios that we were talking about before the start of the show.
Putelezi. Okay. I would
another
not
one?
have put it in click.
Well,
in
it seemed
that
like
name,
you
by the way.
seemed like you got that one figured out pretty quickly, though. See, the only issue is that, especially at the lower levels, they don't give you pronunciation guides, so you just roll in
No,
there
they
with a bunch of
don't.
letters, and
Then
you're
they
like,
get
you know
mad
what,
at
I
you, and
gotta.
it's like, dude, you
Yeah.
got to give me a pronunciation.
Hey,
guide.
you got to help me out somewhere here. But yeah, it's it's a unique time, but you just kind of try to, I guess, sound it out as best as you can. But getting into topic number one, Ryan, you think the winner of the Carabao Cup this season will win the Prem? I will say this: I think Arsenal v Man City is more than just a game. It always has been more than just a game. But what makes you believe that the winner of this will end up going on to win the Prem?
So I did have a take like a month ago that they could play each other 4 times in like cup finals, but Man City decided to suck, and we don't get that this year in the Champions League. So there's possibility of 3, and if you want to count the Premier League as a final, that's what I'm counting basically.
Yeah.
But to your point of it always means something different, I think it's kind of the line along the lines there. There's something different, I think, when the teacher and the student coach against each other. And so a couple of years ago, when Mikel was first starting out, Pep was always praising this guy, like, oh, he's really good, like, just give him time, all this, and that. And then 2022 comes around, and it's all of a sudden we're in a title race with this guy, and all of a sudden all the compliments from Pep regarding Mikel all of a sudden stop. And it's like, I understand why, but like a year ago, you were saying this guy was an unbelievable manager. He just needs time. Like he's a really bright mind. And all of a sudden, everything just kind of stopped. So I always found that ironic. And then in 2023, well, he did beat him in 2020 with the social experiment Arsenal squad in the FA Cup. But, you know, he didn't beat him in the league ever until 2023. Yes, fall of 2023 was the first time they ever beat him. And the look on Pep's face, because at that time, normally the coaches just go shake the hands of the other coach like that. But Mikel went to his assistants and they like all hugged each other like, we finally slayed the dragon. We finally got them. We finally beat them. And then that happened, and then all of a sudden the compliments stopped. Everything kind of got there was like you could sense a little bit of tension for sure with between Mikel and Pep. Like there was a little bit of tension, and then we lose the league again. Last year Liverpool wins it, yada yada yada. But then everything kind of escalated last year a little bit in the first Man City Arsenal game at the Etihad, because you have the Arsenal goes up 1-0, or they go down 1-0. They equalize off a corner. Then Calafiori makes it 2-2, and then you have the whole they equalize. Man City equalizes in the last kick of the game. You have Holland throwing the ball off the back ahead of Gabriel, and then you have Miles Lewis-Skelly, who was like 18 at the time, was going up to Holland, and Holland's like, "Well, who the F are you?" And then you have Holland going up to Arteta saying, "Stay humble, eh? Stay humble, eh?" And then all of a sudden gets the Emirates, and Arsenal thrashes them 5-1. And then everything happens. Like it went full tilt last year. No fights or anything, but like everything kind of escalated a little bit. And this year there wasn't any really hatred. But when I'm looking at the Carabao Cup, when you're in the run-in like this, it's going to be March 22nd when this final takes place. End of the season. There's 7 games to go, 8 games for Man City. I think if you get into the habit of winning a trophy and winning a trophy against that side like Man City, if you're an Arsenal perspective, I think whoever wins this game wins the Premier League, because if Arsenal wins this, I think they'll have the full confidence now that, you know what? We've bottled the league before a couple of times. You know what? We can actually beat these guys. We can actually beat these guys in a cup final. We can win a trophy against these guys. On the flip side, for Man City, they haven't played particularly well all season long. They have, or to their standard, I should say. They haven't played to the Man City standard that has been set for the last couple of years. If they win that, they can maybe finally get some of that confidence back. And then Arsenal, on the flip side, it's like, oh, shoot, we can't beat these guys. We can't win a trophy against these guys. And I still go back to that Max Dowman game against Everton, and I really think that's kind of the game where everyone kind of believes, like the fans are starting to believe, the players are starting to believe, myself is starting to believe all this. But I think if you win this game because of how late it is in the season, because obviously the FA Cup happens after the season, obviously the Champions League happens after the Premier League season's over, but this happens kind of in the run-in. And if they're able to win this game, Arsenal, or whoever wins this game for that matter, whoever wins this game, I think will win the Premier League because of I think they win the Premier League because Arsenal, they finally can get that monkey off their back. They can finally say we've won it. We've won a trophy over these guys. And Man City can get that confidence back, and Arsenal can be like, oh shit, we can't beat these guys still. So and there's still 7 games to go. Like, I know it's a 9-point difference right now at the top of the table in the Prem, but you know what? It's still 7 games to go. A lot can happen in 7 games. It's still 21 points up for grabs. So, and they still play each other in April. I think April 22nd. Earth Day is when I think they play. So, no, I think it's going to be a very important game. I really hope that if you're Arteta, please just don't play Kepa. I know he's been the goalkeeper all the way through, but please just play Raya. He's the better goalkeeper. We need a trophy. We haven't won a trophy since 2020, and that was the social experiment Arsenal squad. Please, Arteta, just play Raya, play the big boys, because you know what? Because you know what's next week? International window. It's not like you play any games next week. So please, just win this trophy. Put all your big boys out there, and then just go win this thing. And let's beat Pep. Let's finally win a trophy.
With Arsenal, I don't think it comes down to a question of structure necessarily. I think it comes down to just a question of personnel. You know, who do you play where and in what spots? Kind of like you said at the very end there. You know, that's the biggest question mark when it comes to how do they approach this match against Man City. I'll say this, Ryan, when you have someone on the ropes, you go all in. You do everything you can to finish it right then and there. When you have someone wobbly, when you have someone off balance, when you have someone in a bad spot, you light them up because you realize that you're not always going to have this opportunity, right? And especially in boxing or any other sort of combat sport, if you give them an opportunity to regain their focus and regain their footing, all of a sudden you're back on level playing terms. For Arsenal, that is, to create some sort of analogy, that is the situation that they find themselves in right now, because they are coming from a position of Man City with the recent run of form is in a lot of ways they're on the ropes. And it's funny to say that because Man City's still very good compared to obviously the rest of the field. But as it pertains to these two teams, Arsenal not only just got over the hump, but now I think they're playing from a position which is maybe a little bit more unique, which is, you know, they're the ones that are supposed to win. They're the ones that, you know, with how they have played and with them proving that they can beat Man City, you know, now the expectation is, okay, well, now you have to do it in order to put yourself in a good spot to go out and to continue to build that confidence. And that's the biggest, most key part to me, Ryan, is the confidence component in this, right? You give yourself the keys to the kingdom if you win this game, because in a lot of ways you're like, this is ours now. You know, not only that, but you continue to bury Man City. And we talked about this not only in the show yesterday, but I feel like in a lot of the shows leading up to this about how winning can really solve everything. And so if I look at this from what I think it is, I think this is Pep Guardiola's kind of last, I wouldn't say last dance, but it feels like his last push. It feels like his last offensive, because if this falls apart the way it can be, if Arsenal is able to win this game and this matchup in the Carabao Cup final, if it ends up going that way, that could spell the end of the Man City dynasty and Pep Guardiola at Man City if they don't end up, you know, rallying to win this just because of what the reputation
finally gets
is.
Revealed. Yes.
Yeah. And so and so I think the weight of expectations is something that Arsenal can certainly take advantage of. And the weight of expectations, yeah, you know what? You think about 22 years, that's a long time. That's over 2 decades, you know? So it's been a lot to think about on the shoulders of Arsenal players and fans, but I think all the pressure, to be completely honest with you, Ryan, falls squarely on Man City's shoulders
Hmm.
because I understand the history and everything that leads up to this one for Arsenal, but if you're Man City, you've created a standard. And
Yeah.
so if you can't live up to that standard anymore, you're not what Man City used to be. And so that all of a sudden creates more questions and it creates more instability within the organization. And so I think Pep, this is the closest. I mean, this year for Man City, this is probably the most important game that they've played yet because of what it means for the rest of the year and also just what it means to beat the other side. I mean, this is a really fun rivalry in so many ways, and student and teacher is obviously one way to kind of add to that storyline. But I would say the majority, if not all, of the pressure really falls squarely on the shoulders of Man City in this matchup.
That's a interesting way. I didn't really think about it. I still think the pressure is all on Arsenal just because, like, this is their
Yeah,
best chance
the
to
history.
finally
Yeah,
win this thing. Like, if we look at their Premier League titles the last couple of years, we think 2022 they weren't equipped to do it. They just were really
yeah,
hot for a really long time and eventually faltered at the end there. And then 2023, I can't really say they bottled it because they won 17 of their last 19 games and they still came up
yeah,
short. And then last year, they just didn't play well consistently enough, and Liverpool
yeah.
was just better all the way around. And I still think it is just because of it's been so long. And in the last 2020 or last 22 years, we haven't won a major trophy. Yeah, there's a couple FA Cups in there. Yeah, there's a couple Community
Yeah.
Shields, but that's not the Prem. That's not the Champions League. That's not even the
Yep.
Europa League, for crying out loud. We haven't even won the Carabao Cup, I think, in our history. I think that's because we always choke in the final. So no, and we
Yeah.
haven't even been in a final in a long time. Our last final was 2020. That was the last time we were ever in a final, and that was the Social Experiment squad. So the only people that are left on that
Mhm.
team was probably Saka, Martinelli. No, Martinelli didn't play. He tore his ACL at that point. Yeah, there's only one player left from that team still. So I'm just looking at it, and I kind of am getting. I'm starting to go your way about like the pressures on City because like I feel like they're on the verge of like if they lose this game, Nate, I think if they lose this game, I think everything is just going to just fall for them. They've already been knocked out of the Champions League, kind of in embarrassing fashion, and to think
Yeah.
that they got booed a little bit, I couldn't tell you the last time I've ever heard a Man City team booed. I
Yep.
can't. And
Mhm.
you can see the frustration with all their players. You can see all the frustration with Pep
Mhm.
himself. And Pep all of a sudden's wearing flannels on the sideline. That dude never wears flannels on the sideline. That's something else to know. But like all the
Yeah.
pressure, I think you're right now because I think the pressure's on them because Arsenal's like, well, we don't really deserve to be. Well, not shouldn't say we don't deserve.
Feels like Arsenal. The pressure is coming from the outside. The
Yeah,
pressure is coming from
you're
media.
right. You're
The
right,
pressure
because
is
the
coming from
You're right because
City. The pressure is coming from the inside.
I would agree. You're bringing up really good points here. I don't know why I didn't come up with this. You're coming up with some really good points this morning on this whole topic.
Hey,
You're making me
hey,
feel
all
better
right,
about
yeah,
my
cool.
team going down the stretch here. But I think you're right because if you hear every
That needs to be
single-
Arteta's message in the clubhouse. That needs to be Arteta's message. All the pressure's on them, guys. All the weight's on them.
like every single interview you hear of a player or you hear of a coach or Arteta, I should say, like they're like they drop points. It's like, yeah, we still got a point. We didn't lose. We still got a point.
Mhm.
And Arteta's always like, I still
Right.
love my players. Like I just got to show them that I love them and all that stuff. And then you look at the Man
Mhm.
City side, and it just feels like they're just arguing all the time with each other. And it's a good point you just brought up there. I think you're talking some facts right now, Nate. You're really talking some facts.
I think that's the part of the whole storyline between Arsenal and Man City that I think is interesting. I just think when I look at it, especially with how you've mentioned how the media kind of looks at Arsenal and how they want to kind of cast things aside and downplay things. Yeah, that's where it really comes for Arsenal. Is like there's just this reputation that follows them everywhere they go that they just simply can't get the job done. Like that is the stinker that's always followed them. It's like the lovable losers, like me with the Cubs growing up. Now, mind you, 2 decades doesn't quite compare to a century. That's not quite the same thing. However, when that reputation follows you around, the pressure comes from the outside. But I can certainly see on the other side of things for Man City, it is almost a lot harder when the pressure is coming from the inside, when you have infighting in the clubhouse or when you have, obviously your supporters are are booing you, or other things are happening within the inside, that's where you can just feel it feels like the foundation of what Man City was, which was very sturdy. It was very strong, has now kind of disintegrated. And so that's where it becomes really, really tough. But I know we got Tanner coming up here in about 5 minutes. We should probably burn a break. When we come back, we'll chat a little bit about maybe some of the comments that people have dropped on social media. I can sort through a few of those and maybe find some good ones. And then we'll bring Tanner on as always. Indoor Insights with Tanner. Some exciting stuff coming up. First, let's tell you about Bayern Summer Soccer Camps. Proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, fostering football excellence across North America. Open to boys and girls of all skill levels. FC Bayern camps deliver elite training inspired by FC Bayern Munich's world-class philosophy. Select your city and start a promising soccer path. And right now, save $30 on registration by using promo code BayernNSN30. Again, that's BayernNSN30. Or scan the QR code on your screen. Learn more at FCBayernYouth.com.
So the dream behind Irene's was simply to be a place where the community could come and gather. This is my hometown, we're raising our family here, and we just want to be a space where people can come together as a community and share a great meal. We've got golf simulators, we got pinball, live music, trivia nights, but we also have fresh, always homemade, locally sourced food, and we serve it with a sense of Gemütlichkeit. This is a German word that conveys a sense of warmth and coziness and belonging. We're excited to show off how we're growing and that this is the place to be.
All right. Welcome back to Inside the Game, episode 254. My name's Ryan Glinsky. Nate Wengler decided to turn his mic off.
It's been a while. I'm just saying it's been a minute, so it's good. I was on a hot streak there for a while. Irene's looks cozy, man. I like that place.
A quick announcement coming from our TikTok chat. This is Parker. He works with the Tufts men's soccer team. We had Coach Desatel, Kyle Desatel on the team a couple months ago. They just won Division III national championship. He says he is, after months of rumors regarding his future with the Jumbos, he's officially back with the team. So shout out to you, Parker, back with the reigning Division III champs. Very good side. Obviously, talked to Coach Desatel here. I think it was back in January. I don't really remember when it was. This was a long time ago. But shout out to you, Parker. Hopefully you have another great season. Hopefully you guys win another trophy, nationally, that is.
Yeah, freaking cool. And I mean, obviously it is a program that broke through and won a national championship. May as well stick around. I mean, you know you're going to put yourself in a good spot to go back and do so. So, anyways, rolling along here on Inside the Game again, getting ready for Tanner White.
Of championships. We got championships here in 2 weeks or 2 weekends, and we got Tanner White, the one and only, on the show again. Tanner, welcome
What's
back.
up, man?
Guys, so do you guys like the Beastie Boys? No sleep until Brooklyn, they said, but for us, it's no sleep until Vegas.
Hey,
Yeah.
I like that one. I
Yeah.
like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
I'm good. Yep. Well, I love the Beastie Boys. They made it. They made it possible for white guys all over to break into the hip hop scene. So no, we always appreciate the Beastie Boys. But welcome back on Tanner Indoor Insights with Tanner White. First off, I got to talk about this before we get to any MLIS work. I saw you hit a new PR on bench press recently with your Instagram post. Are you up over 3 bills? Have you hit 3 bills?
Yeah. Fortunately, yes. I have a best comp bench of about 331.
Woo.
You guys crack me up. You're doing the Nardwar thing where you know more about me than me.
That's
think-
true. Yeah, one of these days it's gonna be like, how'd you know that?
I haven't
Right.
benched
I'll
in a really long time. I think the last time I benched, which was like 2 months ago, I think I got 155 up for like 6 reps. So that's as far as I got.
Hey man,
Yeah,
gotta
but
start
everybody
somewhere.
starts
You know?
I tell you what.
I'm just
exactly it.
happy I can do a plate. That's like the whole goal. As long as I can do a plate for the rest
Sure.
of time, I'm happy.
Mhm. Yep. You should be set there. That's awesome. Getting into the MLIS and WMLIS conversations, though, on the women's side of things, kind of a unique situation. You guys have an extra game. I know you guys had a meeting about what everything looks like leading up to it, you and the rest of the broadcast crew, but kind of break down what the situation is on the women's side with going into the postseason.
Yeah, here's the insanity of it all, guys. We're playing in Las Vegas next week, right? We have exactly one total matchup that is completely set where we know our teams and times and date. Unreal. You have Fort Wayne that is just absolutely mixing everything up there on the women's side. They've still got the chance to play themselves in over New Jersey. They got 1 point against Chicago, by the way, very first time anybody's ever done that. So, it's still not even a win for them, and yet to push that Chicago Mustangs team on the women's side even to OT and eventually the shootout was insane. Let me tell you something about this Fort Wayne keeper, Carmen Swigard. It was Spidey sense. It was ultra instinct. It was whatever you want to call it. It was unbelievable. 33 saves in that game, the single game record over there in the league. I could not believe what I was watching. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I have the best seat in the house to just see this unbelievable keeper, and all the all-time records that were falling. She still holds the all-time saves record in the league and got the single game record too. I was like, this is insane. That was one of the biggest individual efforts that I've ever seen in my life. And then it extends the entire season because of her efforts there. Chicago does win that one in shootouts. That's the first time that we've ever seen a shootout on the women's side. But then it makes this whole extra game that's going to be tomorrow at 8 a.m., by the way, over in Fort Wayne.
Wow.
It makes this whole extra game necessary. And everybody else was kind of confused on the situations. But I kept telling you guys, no, if they get a single point, if the moment that they get to overtime, then you've got to play this final game. And we got to get all 40 in. And that's exactly what happened. You could start to feel by the fourth quarter, this is a really good chance. And so back and forth game there, and that caused it. And then New Jersey's been sitting at home for weeks now, and they're like, okay, are we going or not? There's no way to know until we sort it out on Saturday morning.
Apologies, Tanner, if you already answered this question. I forgot to put in the women's video that you just saw on the screen, so I was kind of more focused on that. But what is the exact scenario for Fort Wayne to get into the WMLIS playoffs?
Do they have to win?
Yeah.
They have to win, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you got to win in
All right.
regulation too, because they're 2 points behind of New Jersey right now. So an overtime win wouldn't even do it. If they had gotten the overtime win or the shootout win, then they would have 2 points, and you could get in with another 2. But now it's really simple: regulation win or you go home.
Mm.
Plain and
So
simple.
what's interesting to me, and I guess that's pretty straightforward, right, for Fort Wayne, because they know they control their destiny. So you just have to win in regulation. Sounds easy, not easy, but at least they know what they have to do. When you look at going into the playoffs, what's interesting is sometimes you talk about certain teams, they get longer breaks than other teams. Other teams kind of go right into it because they play later. Some teams have to wait a little bit of distance before they get into that. Do you foresee that break, that gap in between the end of the regular season and the playoffs for some of these teams? You see the rust playing a factor at all, or maybe for Fort Wayne on the other end, if they win, kind of that momentum carrying them into a good place?
I could see the fatigue, honestly, creeping up on Fort Wayne. That could be one of those things. Again, if you beat Chicago, which would still be an insane upset, right? It'd be the first time anybody's ever beat them. I could see that fatigue creeping in, having to have played, these number of back-to-backs and then they played the final 3 matches of the season, right? That's a lot to ask
Yep.
of them. That's always in the back of one's mind. Nobody's going to make excuses. Nobody's going to feel bad for you, but it could happen.
Right.
New Jersey literally has been sitting at home for weeks, right? I mean, our Albuquerque club
Yeah.
having forfeited the last couple of matches. That club has been since the 22nd of February. They've been sitting around, and so it'd be well over a
Jeez.
month.
Ouch.
I think that's the most likely place that you're going to see rust on anybody. Utah, hey, they'll be fine. Frankly, Utah is scary no matter how you put it. And Chicago
Yeah.
has been in all these final 3 matchups with Fort Wayne. So they've
Yep.
moved their lineups around a little bit, and they're probably going to do even some more things and go deeper in their rosters and their reserves on Saturday just because of the logistical difficulties, right? And getting
Right.
a lineup there that you can play and all that is going to be difficult. So my best guess would be your top 2 seeds are going to be fine. Phoenix is going to be relatively fine. But yeah, whoever gets in as that 2nd seed in the East might have some difficulties, whether it's the rust or whether it's fatigue.
Or the
Right.
fact that they might play Salt Lake City or
Yeah,
they
I
will
think
play
that could
Salt
do
Lake
it too.
City in round number 1. That's
that'll do it.
that'll be difficult. Moving over to the men's side, you mentioned that not every single game is set in stone for the playoffs. Toronto still has a game to play against Pittsburgh. What's the scenario looking like on the men's side?
Yep. So at the top of the North Conference there, we've known this for a long time. It was going to be Toronto and Cleveland. But as Toronto had started the season 10-0, everybody assumes, okay, so they're going to run away with this number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Not so.
Yep.
Cleveland finished out the season hot. They're 10-2. The only complaint that they might have is one of those games that they went to overtime. They took a loss in, and that was versus Rockford. I was wondering if it's going to be that Rockford clip. Not quite the same game. However, it was versus Rockford, where Cleveland took an overtime loss, and they sit at 31 points. Toronto at 30 right now. This game was rescheduled with Pittsburgh from the middle of February when the weather was just an absolute bear and was affecting everybody's schedules. And now Toronto, really simple there, where either you equal Cleveland because they split the head-to-head, but you lose out on goal differential, or you get at least 2 points with an overtime win or more, and then you're the number 1 seed in that North.
I want to talk about Cleveland here for a second because you mentioned just how they got on a hot streak and really have kind of inserted themselves at the end of the season in the MLIS. And I wanted to talk about one player in particular. Now, I have no idea how to pronounce his last name. Admir
Yeah, well, that tells.
Suljevic. I mean, I'm not even quite sure. Number 20 or number 10 rather for Cleveland. He's been great. He's had 22 assists. But they're deep, and I think they move the ball really well. What's helped Cleveland most in their run here at the end of the season? It really makes them an impressive prospect going into the postseason.
It's tough to say that there's one exact reason why Cleveland is what they are and why they do what they do and why they've been towards the top of the league all the time. I think it's experience, and their top guys on their top lines are just all clicking together right now. Michael Derazic, Ryan Minnick, Admir Sulevic is, the all-time leader in points and goals. That guy's nasty. He always has been. Every single guy on that crunch lineup that is, been a staple is producing right now at a really high level, and they're all getting it together all at once. They've turned on that playoff mode, and they had those games that really felt like playoff games before they started the playoffs, right? You guys saw that Chicago game, unbelievable. Now Chicago ended up making that really, really interesting 1-goal game, but it had exactly that playoff atmosphere. It had a playoff crowd. It had a playoff, frankly, referee crew where they were calling it tight. And everybody now is just so rocked up and ready to go for Las Vegas that I think when you click at that right time, it shows on the standings, on the stats, and it's going to show on the pitch.
Back to the for Toronto and Cleveland. Toronto, I mean, if I'm Toronto, I got to try everything in my power to win this game, because if I don't, I'm running into a strong Amarillo side. Amarillo doesn't play this weekend, obviously. Are they still kind of the favorite on the men's side going into Las Vegas next weekend?
It's tough, because what have I told you about Philip Zendelik, the Toronto keeper? He's the number 1 X factor in this entire league, He could be
Yep.
most teams' top
After
strikers,
losing to them
and he's
last
going to be in the
night.
goalkeeper of the year voting. What's that?
Sorry, I didn't turn the volume down on the commentator. So you're good
So
now.
we had him talking over top of you. There you
Yeah,
go.
you're good now.
Nice. I'm glad it wasn't me again. That would be a nightmare. Anyways, so Toronto keeper Philip Zendelik, that guy is the number one X factor in this league and is going to be in this playoff field. I know, and I think others know, that Amarillo is the top defensive club too. So that's kind of why you really don't want to play them. That doesn't mean that Salt Lake City on the men's side, who's that 2 seed in the South, is an easy out. I don't think anybody's going to agree with that either. You see them putting up tons of goals here in this matchup against Las Vegas, and they had a 23-goal outburst for their last match of the regular season. And Chris Reyes had a 12-point game with 8 goals and 4 assists, and that was the all-time record, like you might imagine. So it's like, can you pick who you really want to play? Well, no, you got to show up and play who you play. And I do think that, Toronto's got to pull out literally all the stops and cannot afford to lose to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's going to be incredibly motivated, where it normally would be easy not to be, because you have to travel a great distance and you have to, go beyond the length that you were expecting your season to go. And you start getting into, okay, well, spring break plans, guys that have kids or guys that are young enough to still be in college, those kind of things. It's like, wow, there's a lot to consider here. And yet, yes, undeniably, Toronto needs to win this game. Toronto needs to be that number 1 seed. It is a really dire situation if they don't.
Yeah, and I think it's, when you look at just the teams that have made it in, I think it really feels like a who's who, and that's the thing that you've said all along. It just has that kind of sense, that feel to it. This is just a general question. What are you looking forward to the most when it comes to the championship game that you guys will be covering here coming up in about a week?
Oh, man, what am I looking forward to most? That's such a...
It's a general,
really
it's
good
an
one.
all over the place question, but I'll let you take it wherever you want to take it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I could go so many different places. I think we're going to see something that we've never seen. Whether that's, for one thing, you're going to have 2, possibly, if Chicago and Utah on the women's side were to meet, you're going to have one team that loses for the very first time ever. Amarillo's already lost for the first time in MLS this season, getting ironically taken down by Salt Lake City. So you could see somebody sweep Amarillo, and that would be insane too. There's, all-time playoff records that I think are going to be likely challenged by these insane attacks. What I just tell you about Chris Reyes with Utah, he had a 12-point game. Sulovic has a number of 9 and 10-point games, right? He just expects that of himself. That's the standard for him. Michael Derazic with Cleveland is one of the most talented foot skill players in this entire league. He could absolutely light it up. There's going to be history. I'm going to be digging through the record books the whole time throughout this entire weekend when we do get to Las Vegas. And that's a really good problem to have, to say, hey, have we ever seen this before? Hey, is this completely new? The other thing, of course, that I want to see is competitive matches. Right, I don't want to see anybody run away with anything. I do think if, Fort Wayne is to get in and shake it up, that would be probably the most fun underdog story of the season so far, except maybe Salt Lake City on the men's side, where we for so long presumed it was going to be Orlando, and then Orlando goes out with a whimper, and Salt Lake City just comes storming back, and here they are, right? That looked for so long like it was impossible when Orlando started 7-1, and everybody just thought, well, okay, they're in. And no. I think those are the top 2 things.
Tanner, last one from me. Everything's kind of up for grabs, I would say, in a couple of divisions this weekend. How much of a benefit is that for you guys as a league to still have games come down to the final day and still decide things?
You say benefit. That's a tricky question, and that's a tricky word there. It is amazing for getting eyeballs and keeping eyeballs on us. It is amazing for the entertainment value. For logistics, nightmare.
Okay.
Unbelievable for teams that are having to look at flights and still not knowing, are we going to even be there? And maybe some have booked ahead of time. Orlando probably had them booked in, January. And now again,
Yeah.
you're still looking at like, wow, we did not get in, and we know that, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna
Right.
haunt us. But there's nothing more that we can do for this year. You got to look forward to next year. So
Mhm.
we're very excited about it. But there were other outcomes that could have been more convenient. That's just not our
Yeah.
reality. We're gonna have to make it work. We're gonna have to get everybody to play to Vegas, and we're gonna have to play these matches, and they're gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, well, and at the very least, it shows that there's I think when you talk about how it comes down to the very end, it shows a level of competitiveness and parity that you talked about. Like, people love to see it. So logistics can always be worked out, but I guess the one thing you can't work out is the product entertaining, and it is undoubtedly. So I think
Be
that's what
entertaining for
everybody's
me,
looking forward
Tanner.
to the most.
I'm just letting you know,
Yeah.
I'll be entertained. I like
Yeah, well,
when
I tell you, I'll
when the
be right
games
there with you.
I like the final games deciding things. So
Absolutely. But we appreciate you as always, Tanner, stopping by the show. That's Indoor Insights with Tanner White. Keep working on that bench. I want to see you at 4 bills here someday. I want to hear that you're pushing
I gotta get to
400 on one of these
225.
shows. You
You're gonna
keep
motivate me,
keep
Tanner.
pushing me. Yeah. So
Unintentionally, you're
love
gonna
it,
motivate
man.
me because I gotta up my game if we're gonna continue to work together. I gotta be like, this guy's benching so much more than me. I gotta be able to put up with that.
By the way, you versus
Ah.
whatever the animal was that you were asking about, who would I
Ostrich.
take in a matchup? An ostrich. It might be a tough one.
Yeah.
It might be a tight one, but I'll go with you at the end of the day. So I'll put my money on you in that matchup. So I got you.
Hey, that was
We
mostly the
appreciate you stopping
consensus.
by.
I appreciate it.
It's Tanner White here on Inside the Game.
Always
Awesome.
a fun. We had during the interview we had Jesse. He said yellow to us. So what's
Hello,
up to you
what's
too,
up,
Jesse?
Jesse?
Hoping you're
All right.
having a good day.
Jesse who? Just Jesse?
Jesse Mark T 1J. Sorry, I could not read what those last three, even when I got glasses on. I'm not gonna lie, Nate.
All good.
I can't see a thing right now. I can't even put them on.
Yeah, my dad was the same way. He either did contacts or glasses, and when he took glasses up. So are you nearsighted or farsighted?
Whatever one I can't see far away. Nearsighted then, because it's always the opposite. If you can't see far, you're nearsighted, and if you can't see
yeah.
near, you're farsighted.
Yeah.
Jesse
Yeah.
says he is good. He says am good sap. And I don't know what
Does
sap.
SAP stand for something?
I don't know. He's gonna have to tell us.
All right. All right. Well, let's find out on the other end of this break. When we come back, our number one conversation continues right here on Inside the Game.
Oh gosh, just in time. Hold on.
Oops,
Now
sorry.
we'll go to break.
All right. Okay.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Back in live and Inside the Game here. Final topic of our number one on the National Soccer Network. Our big thanks, as always, to Tanner White joining us on the show, giving us some of those indoor insights. Yeah, I imagine the logistics behind getting everyone where
Yeah.
you need to when the season comes all the way down to the very end is pretty tough. But I will say it matters, right? Because it
Yeah.
just shows that the league as a whole is competitive. And so that's exactly what you want to see, especially when you're talking about going into championship, postseason, and everything else that's involved with that. So good on them for having a good year. Really excited to listen to what you guys got on that championship day. But let's get into the rest of this conversation here in hour number 1. I know we got a couple of other things we want to get to. First thing, though, Wayne Rooney apparently says there won't be a worse World Cup than the World Cup in 2010. Now, that was a World Cup that was marred by a lot of different conspiracies. More European pundits say the World Cup will be a success in America. Ryan, you said you listened to some of what they had to say yesterday. What exactly did you hear, and what exactly were they saying?
Well, Roy Keane said that the United States is the best. They're the best at producing sports events. That's what he said. He says that the USA is the best in producing sports events. And I also want to put it out there, this is not like an American soccer podcast. They don't have to tailor their show. They don't have to impress anyone in USA soccer and all that fun stuff. So this is just this is what they say. But Wayne Rooney mentioned that 2010 there'll be nothing worse than 2010. And I mean, maybe it has to do with the ball. That was a big thing. The vuvuzelas were a big thing. A lot of empty stadiums. That was a big thing. And remember, these guys, this country had to build a ton of stadiums to even get this thing. We've said it time and time again. You know, the last couple of World Cups, Brazil or South Africa, Brazil. I don't know who had it in 2006, but Brazil or in South Africa, then Brazil, then Russia, and then Qatar. These places had to build all these stadiums. And what is something that we don't have to deal with in the United States? We don't have to build the stadiums. Canada has hosted a Women's World Cup before, so I don't think they got to build anything new. I don't think Mexico's got to build anything new. So that's already put in place. And there was a lot of conspiracies about, you know, the whole, like, you know, nightlife down in South Africa at the time. Everyone was kind of scared for security reasons, and rightfully so. And then they also just talked about, like, it was an utter disaster. That's what a lot of players say. And again, I think it also has to do with the ball. I mean, the ball moved way too much. A knuckle, like, you'd shoot it and the goalkeeper would think it's coming right at him, but all of a sudden he's got to dive to make a save because the ball moved so much. So it was a nightmare for goalkeepers and defenders. But again, I do not. We've argued a lot on this show regarding the World Cup, but we've argued about the financial part of, like, the host cities and the ticket prices,
the logistics,
and all the ticket prices. But if we think about the World Cup and everything that has kind of gone on, this still to me feels like this is not the worst problems leading up to a World Cup than in previous World Cups.
No, absolutely not. Yeah,
we're just complaining about ticket prices and if the host cities are getting their money. That's the only thing that we've argued about. We haven't argued about building stadiums and all that controversy and, you know, maybe breaking some labor laws on trying to make all this stuff. Public transportation was a massive disadvantage when it came to South Africa. And I think that will be a little bit of an issue for the United States because these cities are so packed as it is with everything that's in these cities, like in LA, like Foxborough, not in Boston, by the way, like in New York City and all that fun stuff. But if we really look at this World Cup that's coming to it, and these guys even mentioned themselves, it's like, I don't think it's going to be a bad World Cup. I think it's going to be a really good World Cup. And they always say, you know, there's always issues that come on with hosting a World Cup and what leads to the World Cup because the entire world is coming to your country. You've got millions of people that you have to now kind of expect to bring in. Obviously, during the summer in the United States, people all around the world come in, but that's the vacation. The amount of people that will be coming to the United States to vacation and now to be in the World Cup, that's a totally different beast you got to conquer. So I think that this World Cup with the United States, I know we've kind of harped on kind of the bad things, but to be honest with you, Nate, I think it's going to be a good product in the end. The only issue I have and the only thing that kind of scares me is the security with people getting into the stadium. I don't want to say illegally, but getting into the stadium, actually it would be illegally because they didn't buy a ticket to get in. That's the only issue that I have regarding this World Cup is, are the people that did not buy tickets, are they going to somehow trample the security getting into the stadium and we're going to have overcrowded stadiums? That's the only real concern that I have because, again, the host cities, we can say they're not going to get their insurance. They don't have the insurance money right now from FIFA itself. But again, they're going to produce all that money in itself in the end.
Yeah.
But everything's built. The only issue I have is going to be, is the security, are people who did not buy tickets, because it happens everywhere in soccer all across the world, even in Premier League games, La Liga games. Are people that did not buy tickets, are they going to get into the stadium, and are we going to have overcrowded stadiums? That's my only concern.
Yeah, no, and that's, I mean, that's the biggest part of the conversation that we were having. And I know that we were passionately yelling back and forth about, it's funny because listening back to that conversation, we were arguing essentially the same point, but we were just yelling about two different sides of the conversation. So it's not like we were even necessarily disagreeing with each other. We were just talking about two different things. You were focusing on what they're going to make from it, which obviously is going to be massive. And I was more focused on, well, what do we have to do in terms of getting the insurance money and those things, and just the money, the sheer amount of money they need to pay these people in a timely manner to get them trained up and get them to the places they need to be to secure these locations. I agree with that 100%. The other part that you bring up, yes, in comparison to the other places that FIFA has been for this tournament, the United States is a long shot in terms of being a place that isn't suitable for the World Cup, and for many of different reasons. Number one, I'll start off with, sports is everything in the United States. I mean, it is everything in the U.S. It's actually so ridiculous that our athletes are the most well taken care of people in our country. I mean, even in Hollywood, they have unions and they have whatever and all the other stuff, and, celebrities are taken care of, but no one is prioritized more in our society than athletes. Even celebrities themselves still want to be athletes. Like, that is the dream for most Americans. And even if, for me as a broadcaster, like, you really think I want to be this guy? You think I want to be this guy talking on the microphone? No, absolutely not. I want to be the one out there playing. But culturally speaking, sports is the most important thing, or one of the most important things in the United States. And so because of that, and because of how expansive we are, and because of the facilities that we have, and just how many different facilities there are, not just from professional down to the college level, and maybe not just football specifically, non-American football, soccer, but it is such a priority here that we have the resources, we have the buildings, we have the places, we have everything that FIFA could need. And this is why I say FIFA has always looked at the United States as a very attractive option, and everybody is going to win in one way or the other. But sports is so important in the U.S., and so that's why I think that, number one, it provides a great opportunity for everybody. The other part I'll say too is when you talk about like the dangers that come with other countries. I was actually asked the question the other day, like, if you were to travel to one place that you would immediately be uncomfortable being in, where would it be? And I'm like, a couple of countries in the Middle East for obvious reasons. Brazil would be another one. Because Brazil can be pretty rough in certain areas. South America's got some spots. Central America's so you think about all the diverse crowds going to those places, it would be really hard to get around and not feel like you have to look over your shoulder, because again, if you have a certain complexion, or if you're from a certain part of the world where maybe you're not accepted there, you're going to get yourself in some trouble. But I think about these World Cup teams, the Spains and everybody else that are coming to the U.S. and they're staying in all these different places throughout the course of the country. I think there's a fun dynamic there, because not only are they safe, they're not in any harm's way, but I also feel like it's going to be fun because they're going to get a sense of what America is by being in those places, by being at a school like Wake Forest or being at a place like Chattanooga. There's not going to be that fear to be out and about and in the environment. And I think that's the other fun part, even for people that for people who even didn't even buy who didn't even buy tickets. You can still go to the environment and be around it and sharing it and experience it. And maybe in some places that wasn't really an option. You didn't really want to be hanging out, too far away from the stadium, because then you could find yourself in a really bad spot. There's so much to like about what this World Cup is going to bring to the U.S. and what the viewership experience is going to be and the people there. We just like to talk about the issues because they're issues and they get people talking. They get people talking, they get people thinking. Yeah, the tickets are ridiculously expensive. of course we're going to talk about it. Am I saying that doesn't happen anywhere else? No, absolutely not. But just look at the numbers yourself. I mean, how many people do you know that can afford those tickets, you know, or the logistical concerns when it comes to these cities? I know they bid for it because they realize what it's going to do for their city in the long run. But we still have to be willing to talk about the logistical concerns. But if we really want to, again, zoom out and be like, putting it in perspective, is it the worst setup in the world? Are we in a worse spot
Hell no.
right now? No, absolutely not. Especially when it comes to Brazil or any of those other places. And again, we can dive into all the different conspiracies in 2010. But of
And
course,
14
I'm
and
willing, and I'm
18 and
in 14 and
2022.
18 and exactly. But I'm willing to zoom out and go, you know what? If the fact that FIFA is a little bit late on their payments, if that's the worst thing that we have to deal with, I think we're doing just fine.
It's better than the having thousands of people, tens of thousands of people die just building the stadiums, and then
Yeah.
we're just gonna buy the berries and not tell anybody about it either, and break all these labor laws.
Yeah.
That's a completely different story. I think the only issue another issue I have with the World Cup is the fact that Jelly Roll is singing the song for the World Cup song. We used to be a proper world where we had Shakira doing the greatest World
Yeah.
Cup song of all time. In
Oh my
2010.
goodness.
Even
Yeah.
Pitbull, J-Lo, and I forgot who the other one. It was unbelievable for Brazil because it fit the theme.
Yeah.
And then in 2018, who was it? Oh, Will Smith did it. That was actually a good song too. I'm not gonna lie. I'll have to go
Yeah.
back and listen to it. And then 2022, oh, it was awful. It was awful. The better World Cup song was I Show Speed doing it. That was a better World Cup song. And now we got Jelly Roll doing the World Cup song. Oh my goodness. We got Jelly Roll doing the World Cup song. The guy stinks. He's awful. He can't even kick a football up to the uprights either in College Game Day. Can't even do that. No. I can't believe we got Jelly.
I just feel like out of all the
musicians and all the
all the
artists,
musicians, all the
all the
I'm not going to say he's
American
not
musicians
talented,
and artists
but
we have in the world in
Yeah.
the United States. You're telling me the best that we could have picked was Jelly Roll. You're telling me the best we could have picked for a song and probably the best musical nation in the world. You're telling me we landed on Jelly Roll. That's the best we could have done? His music sucks.
I don't.
His
yeah.
music
I mean, I'm not.
stinks.
I think he's talented. I think he's a good singer. I
Oh,
don't think
jeez.
I have all the artists and musicians in the U.S. You know who we should have gone with, Ryan?
Who?
I got one idea. I think you might really like this one. Bad Bunny. How about that? That would have been a really fun. He would have knocked
All right,
it out of
after
the park.
the break, let me tell you about Barcelona. Yeah, no. I mean, sure, Jelly Roll I would have over Bad Bunny, but that bar is really low. Like, if that bar is low, if that was the only option. No, we could have had anyone. We could have had Linkin Park. We could have had Bruno Mars. We could have had J-Lo. We could have had Pitbull. We could have had Shakira. We could have had Will Smith. We could have had Rihanna. We could have had Drake. We could have had all
That's
these
funny.
people, but no.
Oh.
We got to sit on Jelly Roll.
Oof.
Gosh.
Yeah.
This is gonna be
I
the
will
worst
say
World
though,
Cup
I
ever. It's gonna be the worst.
I
World Cup. It's gonna be the worst. World Cup ever.
that now you're sold on it. Now it's over just because Jelly Roll's in the picture. No, I get it.
Yeah, no.
No, what?
Who's
I will say, I
actually
think the
singing
thing-
this thing?
All right. Yeah, look.
'Cause there's a
I will
couple
say that I
art-
think the thing that I'm most excited about though, when it comes to these countries coming here to the World Cup, is just like I said earlier, like seeing that side of the United States, but even for like the players and the fans, like when all you do is see what's going on in the news, obviously it's bad. I think a lot of people can admit it's bad. You know, I mean, you get 7 items at Meijer and it's $100, but the true U.S. that we know, you and I know, is in those small communities. It's in those places. It's in those stores. It's in those restaurants. It's in, it's in the character of wherever you are. That area brings something unique. And so that's what I think is really nice about this. Because again, if you only learn about it, like Detroit's another good example. And I said that about Detroit. Like if all you know about Detroit is what you see on the news, you would probably never go to the city of Detroit. There are genuinely people out there who are like, it's a dangerous place that you're just going to get mugged or shot. But the rest of us are like, no, it's actually a great city with a vibrant downtown and a great sports experience, but you don't want to go there because all you look at is on the news. Same thing applies to the US, I'm sure, for some people. You know,
So-
like all they see is the bad.
The song it's called Later by Jelly Roll and Serene Leon. He is a he's from Mexico. He is a Mexico artist. It looks like he's a country artist for Mexico. Didn't think. Yeah, he does mariachi and country and soul.
Well, Jelly
So-
Roll's country, isn't he? He's technically country.
Yeah, but he's ass.
You don't like his voice? You don't think he has a good
No,
voice?
it
at least?
sucks. I could sing better
Really?
than that guy.
Oh, come on.
I'm not okay. Dude, you sound like a karaoke singer. You sound like if I were to go to karaoke in Mount Pleasant and Rubbles, that's what I would come across. That's Jelly Roll right there.
Ryan wanted the Temptations actually to sing.
Let's bring them back
he was
from the
thinking
dead.
that one.
Let's bring them back from the dead. All but
You
one
got
of
a
them's
plan.
still
I'm all
alive.
for it.
Not
If
gonna
you got
lie.
a plan, I'm all for it.
We talked about like conspiracies and like all this stuff the other day. If you search up all the ways that like the main group of Temptations died, tragic. Either
Yeah.
drug overdose,
Yeah.
alcohol, or being strangled by your wife.
Yeah. It's funny how
Or
it's funny how
arthritis.
being. Yeah. Well,
Or
I
not
mean,
arthritis. I forget what Melvin's disease was, but it was bad.
how
It, like,
about
crippled him.
someone else from an earlier generation? How about like Whitney Houston? In her drug problem.
Yeah,
and
you blame
everything.
Bobby Brown for
Crazy
that.
to me, man. Crazy to me, man. I think she's one of the most talented. If I were to have like my top 3 singers of all time, and maybe we should do that one of these times, she would be in it.
I wouldn't
It's
say
her, it's Aretha Franklin, and it's Freddie Mercury. Those are my top 3 singers.
I
of all
wouldn't
time.
say I'm like in love with Whitney Houston's music, but like she's very good vocally. She's very good vocally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like every song she has is like there's a
Yeah.
couple songs that I like by her, but like I wouldn't say I'm like a massive fan. Freddie Mercury.
I know
I'm not
people
a fan
like
of
the-
Queen, to be honest with you. Not a fan of Queen.
Freddie's a freak in
His
in
teeth
good and
sucked.
bad ways. But Aretha was fun too. But no, Detroit's Detroit's
yeah,
got a deep
big-
history.
If you were to
for
take away
sure.
anything from this topic, 2 big issues. If the people will get into the stadium and overcrowd that they didn't buy tickets, and the fact that
Yep.
Jelly Roll is singing the World Cup song. That's the biggest issue. I don't even like
And the
Machine
fact that
Gun
we're-
Kelly, and I would have rather had Machine Gun Kelly do it than Jelly Roll.
Really?
I don't even
Why
like
don't we just
Je-
send
that-
Eminem up there. Let's just send Eminem up there. Maybe he
Eminem
can,
don't
you know.
care about that stuff. He could care less.
That's
That-
true.
that's the- I
He's
think
waiting
that's,
for
like,
the
best
he's,
part
he's
about
waiting for the
Eminem.
Lions to come back.
That's I think the best part about Eminem. He could care less about what's going on and like he hates the Grammys. He hates doing commercials. He just wants to rap and live his life.
He
watch the
likes
Lions
Detroit
suck.
sports. Yeah, exactly. The Lions or the Pistons or whoever else. He shows up. Not gonna lie. But let's continue. Let's get into our all sports content on the other side here. We got a lot to discuss when it comes to the NCAA tournament, as well as some other news on the all sports front. Let's tell you first about Barca Academy, proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network and the official academy of FC Barcelona in the United States. Designed for boys and girls ages 6 to 18, Barca Academy camps follow and replicate the FC Barcelona game model, the same philosophy used by Barca's professional coaching staff. Right now, you can save $30 on registration. Use promo code FCB30. Again, that's FCB30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you at fcbarcelona.us/camps.
In Barca Camp, I sing my song Grown on and off of the field. Don't miss the time to register.
Sign up now
for Barca
Barca
Camp.
Camp. The National Soccer Network presents the MLIS and WMLIS Finals weekend. 8 teams battling for a championship at the Orleans Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Don't miss the excitement March 28th and 29th as the top indoor soccer teams compete for the title. Watch every match live and exclusively on the National Soccer Network.
And watch Inside the Game, 9 to 11 a.m. weekdays here on the National Soccer Network. Welcome back in. Nate Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, hour number 2, getting into all sports content here on Inside the Game. Yes, it is day number 2 after the opening day of March Madness here in the U.S. Got it underway, round number 1 yesterday. Couple of shockers in that one. Some fun matchups for sure. High Point taking down Wisconsin. That was the first upset of the day. I was listening to that one actually on the radio, oddly enough, because I was running around doing some other stuff, so didn't have the chance to really sit down and watch that one. Of course, Ryan, I know you were pretty busy yesterday too, but nice thing is we still keep track of these things. But a couple of shockers. What was the one that shocked you the most from yesterday? I'm going to get into how my bracket is trash now, because one of the team that I was riding on the heaviest to get to the Final Four and make some noise after our Huda Beta segment is no longer with us anymore. They are one and done, despite how AJ DeBansta did the other day. But what was the biggest shocker in your mind?
Not really a shock.
Here. I mean, Duke almost lost to Siena.
But that wasn't. They didn't lose, so I can't really say that was the biggest shock. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really shocked by Wisconsin losing, because I always thought Wisconsin's this weird team where they struggle against the bad teams, but they look like the 2016 Warriors against the really good team. So one didn't really surprise me. I always have said, like, if they can get out of the first game in the round of 64 game, I think they could make the Elite Eight. I really do, but obviously I'm not really shocked by it, to be completely honest with you, Nate. Wasn't really shocked by anything. I mean, the only shock I would say was the fact that Michigan was up by 4 at halftime against Howard, and the fact that it took Siena or Duke almost the whole game to finally, beat Siena. Like, they were only won by 6 or so. But yeah, no real shocks. Like Carolina, again, expected. I would fire Hubert Davis if I'm UNC. I mean, this guy sucks. The only thing that this guy is latching on, the only thing that's latching on for this guy is the fact that he beat Coach K in his final home game at Cameron Indoor, and the fact that he beat Duke in Coach K's final actual game in the Final Four. That's the only reason this guy still has a job. The BYU Texas, I mean, I guess that's the biggest shock of the night, but again, not a ton of crazy upsets. I mean, the 5-12, obviously that was big, but again, I'd have to see a 2 or 3 seed or a 4 seed go down to really say it was a big upset. But yeah, the High Point one did not shock me, because that's been Wisconsin all year. They suck against the bad teams, and they're really good against the good teams. So it's almost like if you're Wisconsin, you want to be like a double-digit seed so you can play like a 5 or a 6 or something, and you play better. So yeah, no, not a total shock. I still think the best thing of the day was the fact that Ohio State still sucks at sports. So.
Yes, Ohio State did fall. So everybody in there
about Irene's is the owner, Sarah Perkins, was. So during that interview we did with her, the TCU score with like 2 seconds to go, and they lost, and she immediately turned to the TV to her left just to see that Ohio State lost, and she was like, yes, as long as Ohio State loses, I'm happy. So another reason why you should.
Isn't that amazing? Like, even people that don't have like a vested interest in like Michigan or any of their rivals, and just hate Ohio State just because
which is weird, because she's a Michigan State grad, which is weird.
I mean, so it's natural to not like Ohio. Real Sparties don't
love Ohio State.
Real Sparties don't. If you're one of those that want to ride, coattails and pretend like you are one of them because you can't beat them because your athletics department sucks, then yeah, I mean, I'm those people love them. You know who you are. I don't have to name you by name, but you know who you are. But real Sparty fans who actually were alive during a time in which they were decent at anything, minus basketball, understand that no, you don't like Ohio State. No one should like Ohio State. As a university, when you trademark the word "the" and you put it on the side of your buildings, and then your justification for doing so is because there's another Ohio university, you're so insecure about a MAC school down the road that you have to put "the" on the side of your buildings.
Did you see what Jalen Rose said yesterday?
Go, you know what yourself. What's that?
You see what Jalen Rose said yesterday after they lost?
No, what
He's like, maybe we should change it to the Miami, Ohio, because they win tournament games.
Yeah,
I don't really like Jalen
Let's
Rose, but
go.
that was pretty good.
That's pretty cold. That's pretty cold. I like that one. Yeah, and it's funny how we were talking about Ohio State a little bit earlier. Him coming out with the reason why nobody likes Dusty May and the reason why it's not legitimate video because they spent more money. It's like what? Yeah, I don't know. How many shots do you need at a team in 1 year in order to just know your lane and stay in your lane? I have no idea. But anyways, yeah, not a lot of shockers in my mind. I mean, obviously High Point beating Wisconsin. The only reason why it was a shocker to me is because they were the only team that beat Michigan this year. They were the only team that was competitive with us twice, mind you, and they almost beat us in the semis in the Big Ten. Obviously didn't, and that doesn't really pertain to High Point, being that it's a completely different team, but just a little bit of a shock. I thought they were built for maybe a deeper run. You're right about Hubert Davis. I mean, VCU is always a good tournament team. I think that's why they're always one in terms of the lower seeds. I feel like VCU is always a safe bet. I don't know why. They're a great tournament team. So that's why I picked them. But yeah, Hubert Davis has been terrible. North Carolina is sputtering. Obviously A&M beating St. Mary's, but not, I mean, Texas beating BYU is the biggest shock, by the way. Shocky. There you go. Your Longhorns, buddy. They busted my bracket. Now it's completely useless. He's not in the chat. All right, I'll show him that a little bit later on. But we brought up the topic, and this is an interesting one, and I thought this was really fascinating because you heard the High Point, and I forget his name, but their head coach. They were interviewing him after the win yesterday, and first of all, one of the most passionate speeches, interviews I've ever seen in my life. I mean, clearly the guy's riding an emotional high that he's never felt before in his life, but one of the things that he's discussing in that interview is he's, very passionately being like, they said we never played anybody. They said we never played anybody. They said our schedule sucked and we had a good season, but he just kept saying that repeatedly because it stuck with him that, this was a team that won a lot of games. It was a great team. It was a good team, but they never had the opportunity to really play anybody worth of note. And so when they got to the postseason, they didn't really have a resume. They didn't really, they didn't have anybody on their schedule that would test them in the non-con, that would put them in a better situation going down the stretch. And I think it's interesting because obviously they're not the only ones. We had the same conversation, and he even mentioned Miami, Ohio in that talk. And it's true because what you said earlier in the show when we were talking earlier in the week, and that's as a major Division I school, there really is no benefit to it. If you beat them, so what? If you lose to them, that's the same exact reason why, when schools before the schedule begins, before they get into the regular season, you'll see them schedule these teams for tune-up games. They'll go get a Division II team, or they'll go get an NAIA school, or they'll go get somebody else to play literally just a scrimmage so that they can get their legs back under them. Well, if you ever notice, they don't necessarily go after the best teams in Division II, national champions in Division II. Yeah, you saw Ferris play Duke. That's an exception, especially when you have Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett on the team. But there are certain schools that don't get the benefit of the doubt of a phone call in that scenario because the schools realize that you might lose this one. But is it worth risking? Is it worth risking it for the biscuit for these bigger programs early in the season to play against these teams, to be ready for maybe a team that sneaks up on you in the postseason, or more importantly, to play down to their level and to learn how to not do that anymore? Because again, it's tough, but I think yesterday proved in one way that maybe teams are more battle ready when they get to the tournament because they're not playing those schools, because they are playing harder schedules. And does that lead more to the conversation of, do we need a separator between mid-major and, but that's more in football. But anyways, I'd be interested to hear your answer to that because I could go both ways. I think mid-majors deserve an opportunity to play bigger schools early in the season, much like they do in football, like in week 1.
There's no benefit There's no benefit.
There
for
is
the
no
bigger
benefit.
schools.
I also think
There's-
there's no benefit
There's
too.
no
At the same
benefit.
time.
Like
yeah.
the only school that'll benefit is the mid-major, because if you're the Power 4 school, you get
Money. Yeah.
you get nothing out of it. Sure, you get a win, I guess. But again, last year Miami, Ohio traveled up to Michigan, and guess what happened? Miami, Ohio was in the game for like a half, and then Michigan pulls away. But there is no point for Michigan or Duke. There is no reason that these schools should play the mid-majors because A, it's not a quality win. You're playing mainly a quad 3 game or a quad 2. Not really quad 2, more of a quad 3. So that benefits you in no way. Then you lose, it looks bad for you because you lost to a quad 3 team. That like knocks you down a seed in the NCAA tournament. There's no reason to play. And if you're going to play a mid-major, just play one of the trash ones. That's the issue with all of this. The system in which all of this seeding happens, it does not benefit the big school at all. Now, we go to the football route, there's a lot of benefits for both teams because there's less games and the mid-major gets a ton of money in the end from everything. That's a big benefit. But there is absolutely no reason in college basketball for these Power 4 schools to schedule these mid-majors. There's not, because in the end, the reason you go higher up in the seeds is not because of just record, it's because of who you beat. How many times have we seen like a team win like 25 games and they're like a 5 seed or a 6 seed, and we see a team with
why do you think Texas is
3
there?
or 4?
Yeah, why do you think Texas is there? I mean, Texas has had an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. They got a couple of good wins. Would I say they were the best team in the world? No, but they had a really, really hard strength of schedule, and so that matters, you know. So no, I completely see and understand what you're saying, and I agree. I see the passion also on the other side, you know, from those coaches being like, you know, how can you judge us or even imply that we don't deserve a spot because we haven't played?
Here's what we do. Instead of everyone just bitching about it, here's what we do. It's a simple solution. You know how all the big schools play each other in tournaments in November? Create a mid-major tournament for yourself. All the mid-major teams that made the tournament a year ago, they'll all be like taken away. But you know what? Create your own tournament in November. Create your own tournament. Go travel to somewhere in Florida. Play your own tournament. So you know
people would lose their
the good mid-major programs that
people would lose their damn minds if they decided to stray from the March Madness. It would become the NBA playoffs if it was like that. It would just be like the Power 5. That would be more, which I think people would absolutely lose.
That's the solution. That is the solution.
Yeah,
if you want to improve your strength of schedule and your strength of record, go play the best mid-major programs. Because you're not getting that in your own conference.
And it's funny because like someone in the comment section on TikTok the other day was like getting into me about how like I was asking the question about like the American sports experience and like how it's different than Europe and like is it suffering in the World Baseball Classic, blah blah blah. And he's like, this is old news. This has already been talked about. And I'm like, well, dude, I'm just asking questions. But I also think about this in the same way, this same exact conversation. It in a way feels like old news. This isn't something that's new. Like for the most part, Power 5 schools do not want to schedule, again, non-Power 5 schools that they think have a chance of beating them. That's why like when Central Michigan goes to Michigan and beats them, that's why it's such a freaking shock because it's like
did not count.
I know, but it's like Juwan still scheduled the school down the road as the University of Michigan and he couldn't beat them. So it's like, dude, like that was the sign where it's like
Howard. Even McNeese
come on,
State
man.
beat them.
Right, but that it's at the same exact time. So this has always been a thing in college basketball. So I don't know why. I think the only reason why we're really talking about it as much now is because you have a Miami of Ohio situation where they win literally every single game and then shit the bed against an 8 seed in the conference tournament. And then people are talking about like, do they deserve to get in? It's like, okay, well it's a little bit ridiculous in that way, but this has always been the case. So you can't force a school to play schools they don't want to. I mean, it's just it is what it is. That's the situation.
That's the solution. Or you get the low Power 4 schools that, you know, if like a Penn State or a Northwestern or something, create your own tournament like with the mid majors. Find a place down south. I don't know. Do it in like Atlanta. They don't have I know that's probably right around the. That's feast week, so that's probably right around football and everything. So maybe you can't do that. But like, go somewhere where there's not pro sports and play a tournament down south somewhere, or like just. You can create your own thing. The only issue is you got to find like a sponsor for the whole thing. But to be honest with you, if Vegas is somehow giving each team $1 million every time they play, I mean, it's got to be something, right?
Yeah, there's got to be something there. No, you certainly have a case. But no, I agree. I certainly agree with the premise of what you're saying. But certainly a wild first day of the tournament in some respects. Obviously, not nearly as many upsets as we thought.
That's
maybe
fine.
I thought Siena taking down Duke, I thought would have been fun. But outside of that, yeah, I mean,
like
there is something to be said about the best teams playing the best teams. I agree. I think like the Final Four last year was kind of
I'm cool with like one or two major upsets, a 5-12, a 6-11. Again, that's to me, those aren't really upsets anymore because of how often those happen. But if I see a 4 go down or a 3-2 or a 1 go down, at least like 1 or 2 times tops, I'm okay with that because at that point, I'm not really there to see a 15 seed in the Elite Eight. That's just, I'm not in the business for that. I'm in the business to see the best of the best. Loyola Chicago.
Because
okay. If in Michigan State's region or like Ohio State's region or a Big Ten school, if they were to lose to a 15, a 14, or a 16, all for it. But like,
right. And hey, we can't have that happening because then college football is going to look at it, and then all of a sudden we're going to have 64 teams in the playoffs next year because some 15 seed wanted to mess around and make the Elite Eight. So. Let's take a step aside, though. When we come back here on Inside the Game, we're going to yell about the Lions for a half hour, probably. Something along those lines. Apparently, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are at odds. This according to a Detroit sports figure, someone that we talk about a lot on this show. We'll get into that on the other side. But first, Man City Soccer Camps are a proud sponsor of the National Soccer Network, bringing world-class training inspired by Man City's global football philosophy. Players across the United States, open to boys and girls of all skill levels. These camps focus on technical development, decision-making, and playing the game the City way. Right now, you can save $30 on registration by using promo code MCNSN30. Again, that's MCNSN30, or scan the QR code on your screen. Find a camp near you, usacamps.mancity.com. Welcome back into Inside the Game. Ryan, what I will say, the only thing that I think I missed from like those early 2000s NCAA March Madness tournaments, the old shorts, man. Back when they used to wear like these pants shorts that like came like 4 inches from the floor.
No, those were
You've never
ugly.
seen those things?
Those were-
Legendary, man. That's
those
retro.
Were ugly, my man. Those were
That's
disgusting.
retro. Dude, it's so funny looking at these pictures. Especially like St. Bonaventure had some dudes that like I don't remember what year that was, but they were literally like flowing. Like it looked like they were
Dude,
about to
those are
touch the ground.
some
It's so funny,
disgusting-
man.
Those
Like
some
those are
disgusting-
pants, man.
Oh, by the way,
Not shorts.
during the break there,
What's up?
Chuck Norris was just rushed to the hospital at the age of 86.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep an eye on that story.
Oh, wait.
Um
He's dead.
he was just pronounced dead?
7 minutes ago.
Wow.
Or 20 minutes ago. Yahoo said 7.
Goodness.
HuffPost said 20. Deadline says 3 minutes ago. Yeah, OK Magazine says 10 minutes ago. Yeah, Chuck Norris has been pronounced dead.
Wow. Yeah, 86 years old. Man, and you talk about
Are you okay?
You talk
got
about-
really
you talk
sad
about
there.
Mr. Do It All. No, I just pulled up his page. That's just shocking. No, that's
Yeah, you sounded.
we've
you got
lost
really
a couple
sad
of
there. Like all of a sudden,
we've
you're
lost a couple of good ones this year.
like, oh,
Yeah, sorry, I was just looking for
That's
just
sad.
looking for the website. It is sad, man. 86. That dude was a legend, man. That's yeah, this is my childhood, man. Chuck Norris was mentioned about as many times as Kobe Bryant was. You know, I mean, he's from his acting roles, but wow. So rest in peace, 86. Dang. All right. Well, moving on to a little bit of Lions talk. We'll talk a little bit more about Chuck Norris. I'll see if I can bring up some cool stuff about him tomorrow, and maybe we can wax poetic about that. But 86, a long life, man. I hope I can even touch 80 years old. If I can get there, that's pretty impressive. So just goes to show how I think Chuck Norris is a good example of why exercise and eating right and taking care of yourself are all good things. He had a long, healthy life. So anyways, getting into the next part of our conversation, Ryan, this offseason has been good for some reasons for the Lions, mostly for our purposes, because we get to yell and get upset about things. You know, they always say good radio. Typically bad things for your teams means good radio because you get to talk about things that people actually want to talk about. So I think it's been great for our purposes. It has not been great for other purposes. And apparently Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes are bucking heads a little bit.
I'm fine
You
with
heard
that.
this from Valenti.
I'm fine with that because, I mean, that's a good thing that they're disagreeing. To be honest with you, because it can't all be
Yeah.
rainbow and sunshines the entire tenure. Because then that means I don't think they're
Yep.
truly trying their best. I think this is a good thing. Again, I still look at this year as, you know, it could be a lazy take. It could be lazy. Everyone could get pissed at it, but I don't think they're going to contend for the Super Bowl. I think that the Bears are a better team than them in the division right now. I think
Yeah.
the Packers could be a better team than them right now. But I'm looking at the
Mhm.
Lions. There is no one on defense right now. Nobody. There is absolutely nobody on defense. So I would
Yeah.
say that, again, they're going to try to build through the draft. No issue with that. But the issue then I have is, or not the issue then becomes, well, then we're not really going to have a contending team. And I still think that's fine. I don't see a massive issue because, again, as long as you keep your core together and your core players, I think you will always have a shot to win in this league because, I mean, Seattle and the Patriots weren't even in the playoffs last year, and they were in the Super Bowl this year, and Seattle wins the Super Bowl. So, again, no issue with them disagreeing. I think that's a good thing because they still want to win. This
Yeah.
might change their ideology in terms of how to build this team going forward, maybe how to adapt
Yeah.
with the times. But again, I have no issue with this, with Brad Holmes and MCDC being up with disagreeing with each other because you're telling me during the Patriots dynasty, Belichick and maybe Robert Kraft and Tom Brady, they agreed on every single thing. No, because that's just not true. That's just not realistic.
Yeah.
In any sort of
Right.
dynasty, you're going to disagree on some aspect. I bet you any money
Yeah.
if you look at the Warriors when they were trying to draft that second age of their dynasty, which they failed miserably at. I bet you there's some
Yep.
disagreements on Kuminga, Moses Moody, James Wiseman. Maybe LaMelo Ball was mentioned in there. Maybe Franz Wagner was mentioned in there. So again, I have no issue with these guys disagreeing because it means they want to win. They want to maybe change how to construct this roster going forward. Maybe they want to, maybe change up the identity, the offense of the team. So again, I have no issue with this at all. I'm sure a lot of Lions fans will probably have issues because it's the Lions fans and they just cry a lot. But again, I have no issue with this at all because this still shows to me that there is still a little bit of a desire to win, and they're still pushing for stuff because the last couple of years, I really don't know if that desire was still there with some of the moves they made. But no, I'm okay with this.
It almost kind of makes me, if people think this is a culture issue, yeah, I mean, it may be an indicator of that. But if you want to go the other approach, it's much in the same way. If I'm a coach, right, and I have a couple of players that are fighting during practice, or something breaks out during practice, or there's a skirmish or something, I love that. Give me more of that. Give me all of that, actually, please, because family fights. Like brothers fight, sisters fight. That's what it is. That's how it is. And it shows that you care. And it shows that you're passionate about where you're coming from and what exactly you want the future of this organization to be. So if they're clashing heads on that, yeah, it could be an indicator of a problem. And we'll see, obviously, come the draft, what their approach is and whether or not we feel confident moving forward from it. But it knows that they're pressing each other to be better in areas. And if it takes Dan Campbell getting on Brad Holmes' ass, and he's not going to listen to Nate Wangler Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. He doesn't care about what I have to say, but he might care about what DC has to say. And so that's what I think is really important. Yeah, you could say that it's a rupture, but I don't think it's necessarily a rupture. I think what's been troubling to Lions fans has just been, I would say, a lackluster approach to free agency, but I guess, they would say a measured approach to free agency. That's what's been so frustrating to me, and I think that the rift here is that Dan loves his guys. I think the one thing we've learned about Dan Campbell since he's gotten into this position with Detroit, and I think it's why his players love him so much, is he is such a player's coach because he was one, and that's a completely different feeling than maybe a guy who didn't play in the NFL, who's a head coach, who was more of just like a football savant. I think of someone like Rams head coach, Sean McVay. I think of someone like him in that scenario, more of a football savant, more of a nerdy type guy, or like a Mike McDaniel. But Dan Campbell, with being a player once upon a time, he's always going to be a player's coach. And I think players' coaches like veterans, and they love veterans because of one reason. Not only do they provide experience, but also they provide that foundation and that core, which I think was something that was so revered about the Lions during their deep runs. And so I can see where Dan Campbell might have some problems with releasing some of these short-term deal guys who are struggling with injuries, who are not really putting up the way that they should. Whereas Brad Holmes, as we've seen, has been willing to take almost ridiculous risks to go out and get certain pieces during the draft. And so if we're seeing a clash of styles there, I like it because I think we need a little bit of both of that. I think we need to be measured about the vets that we do keep around, because obviously you don't want to overpay for someone who's going to go out and get hurt in the first 2 weeks. But at the same exact time, you need a smart approach to the draft, because if they don't hit well on this draft, forget about next year. I mean, we might be setting ourselves up for years on down the line. We're still having the same conversation about same old Lions. But I think the most important part of this whole talk is that as Lions fans, we need to realize, and this is hard to tell an organization who's only really made one serious Super Bowl run since the start of the Super Bowl era back in the 50s. Two. Sorry.
NFC
But
championship
this is,
twice.
yeah, that's true. But this offseason is the most important, because it's not going to set us up for next year. The Lions fans need to just accept, and I need to accept, and everybody needs to accept, barring some sort of miracle where we go on a run and everybody's playing perfectly, I don't think we're the best team in this division, and I don't think we're winning a Super Bowl next year, and it very much is a foundation year. And I don't, and if you're going to point your frustration somewhere, make sure you point it accordingly at the right spots. And if Brad Holmes does not do what he needs to do or what we think he should do in this draft, point it at him. Don't point your fingers anywhere else other than where they deserve to be, because I think even Dan Campbell's getting frustrated with some of the things we're saying. But no, in terms of if they're having arguments, I don't necessarily see that as a destroyer. There's instability, but guys, there's been instability. Well, what are we talking about here? This isn't new. The instability comes from the way you finished the season, the fact that you didn't make the playoffs. Like, we knew this all along. So I don't necessarily see it as that problematic. I just see DC as maybe being like, starting to put the pressure on a little bit.
Yeah, I have no issue with it. Schrock finally back in there, says veterans provide, which, by the way, Schrock, I said finally because we gave Texas some love for your basketball team. He said veterans provide grassroots leadership too. They're able to connect in the locker room because they're interacting all the time. It could be liaison between players and coaches. Yeah, I really just thought last year there wasn't a ton of leadership like at all. It just felt like everyone was just kind of trying to do their own thing. I mean, the whole coordinator thing, obviously, that hurts. But I didn't really think there was leaders at all last year, to be honest with you. Because Goff doesn't seem like a leader to me. That's not a bad thing, but he just doesn't feel like that. Sewell is. Defensively, I can't really think of one. They said Anzalone, but again, I don't really buy Anzalone. I think that it's got to be like Jack Campbell or something. And then Sewell, as I mentioned, Amon-Ra, but Amon-Ra doesn't really seem. Amon-Ra to me doesn't seem like a leader. He just seems like a rah-rah guy. Like he doesn't.
Yeah,
really
thing is about vets is like what you're getting out of them. Like every day they show up to the office, what you're getting out of them, right? It's like it's like the guy who's been at the company for 15 years. Like he's going to be productive. He's going to get his work done. He's going to be easy to get along with. If he's been there for 15 years, I hope he's been easy to get along with, unless he's that good at his job. But exactly what you're getting out of them, and so that's why I think for Dan Campbell, it's that's why vets are so important, because they're just a model of consistency. And that's, in a lot of ways, that's kind of what got us to where we got. It's just the hard thing about the NFL is you get 2 years down the line, like your body is so beaten up after playing how many games? Plus preseason games, plus playoff games. That's it's just astronomical, man. So injuries happen fast. And that's why I always say the windows in the NFL are the shortest in terms of your ability to go make a championship run. Now, there are some dynasties that have made that exceptions, but let's not take the exception.
Dynasties. Like the Chiefs are now going to enter that phase where the Patriots didn't win a single thing for like 5-6 years. So they're kind of in that part. Yes, Rock, you are welcome. That is why Texas won yesterday. You're welcome. He says all the love you guys gave them. Yeah, you're right. So
I didn't give them any love, dude. I had BYU in my Final Four. That's completely sent my bracket off the rails.
That's true. That's true. We did.
Jeez, 35
all I'll say is football.
man.
I don't like Texas in football. That's about it.
Ugh,
Sark wears too tight of pants, to be honest with you. That's the reason why.
But no, I the clashing of heads between those two. Could it be a sign of an issue? Yeah, absolutely. But at least it shows they care. At least it shows that it isn't just a big, I have a word for it, but I can't use it. I don't want to use it on this show, but a big group hug. We'll put it that way. At least it's not a big group hug in the front office where everyone's just kind of like in on it, So I like it personally.
Yep, I would agree.
So. When we come back, though, from break, you want to dive into some of our comments? I know we haven't really done a serious mailbag in a while. Either that or we got some other stuff. I know we talked about the Cade injury yesterday.
No. I do got to put in the 6-minute worth of interviews yesterday for anyone that missed our pregame and postgame live coverage yesterday, the U.S. Open Cup. So we'll just come away with that. It is 6 minutes in total length. You'll hear from Jordy Lopez, Drew Pearson, who's a local kid, Coach Paul Doro, Isaiah Goldson, the goalkeeper who kept a clean sheet, and I think I'm forgetting one other person, so my apologies. But yeah, we'll come up with that after the break, right after this.
Experience the thrill that came like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Jordy Lopez, who scored the second goal coming off the bench. Jordy, what was your mindset coming off the bench in the second half?
You know, we got to keep in mind we are the best. If I'm coming out of the bench, I just want to do my best, help the team. We got great players. I'm happy because I scored a really good goal right in the top corner. I'm happy for that, and we keep going. We got the best team.
How magical of a night was it? The crowd was electric, jam-packed crowd here. Did that help you guys at all here tonight?
Insane. It's so good to have all those supports. Great crowd. I feel so happy. I never felt that before, even in my country. You know, I'm from Colombia, but really nice environment. Happy with it.
How far can this team go in the U.S. Open Cup?
We can go way far. We got a really good team, great staff in the coaching staff. I believe we're going to get so far.
You guys made life difficult for this Forward Madison team. How was that kind of the mindset in training all week long of trying to just make life difficult, and then eventually things would break down for them and you guys would take advantage?
You know, we just play like we have, like we know. We know the quality we got right now. We are really top players. Every team can be a pro team, amateur team. If they are coming to us, they are going to be a hard time.
All right, Jordy. Good luck the rest of the way. Great finish tonight. Jordy Lopez of Flint City. How tough did you guys make it on Forward Madison here tonight?
Very tough. We're under it for some points in the game, but yeah, we worked the whole game. We tried to make it as tough as possible. We scored 2, defended like a unit. Everyone's working super hard, so loved it.
What was the mindset coming into tonight's game?
To win. That was the only mindset. Work hard, get the win. We're here to prove everybody wrong. We're playing a USL 1 team or USL 2 team. We still got quality players on the USL 2 team, so we're here to prove.
How far can this team go in the U.S. Open Cup?
All the way.
We talked a lot about keeping them off the scoreboard and giving us a chance to win a game, and you know, everybody bought into that effort of kind of defend first. And having said that, we were really quite dangerous in the first half, especially the first 20 minutes. Then Forward Madison kind of found the way a little bit and caused some problems, but you know, we bent a little bit at moments, but we never broke, and it was just a credit to the guys to get the job done and keep them off and give us a chance to find a second one.
You guys were kind of thrown in the deep end first game of the season, and it's a U.S. Open Cup game. Did anything change kind of pregame for you guys, or was it just kind of business as usual?
A little business as usual. We approach every game kind of one game at a time, like I told you, but you know, we told the guys we were going to trust in their experience and trust in their ability, and they were every bit as talented as the team we were facing, and they needed to believe that, and they needed to prove it on the field, and they did.
Not a ton of film together as you guys as a unit, not a ton of film on Forward Madison. Was it kind of just a chess match kind of throughout the game, or did you guys kind of have a game plan set in stone from entering this game, kind of just stayed with it?
Yeah, we did have a game plan, definitely. We were able to find some film and some clips, and you know, to get some of their team shape and some of their attacking tendencies and how we were going to defend that. And so we worked on that a lot yesterday. I shouldn't say a lot, but we worked on that for a bit yesterday so they understood it on a walkthrough. And then we were able to get the rest of the team up to speed. And the guys who came in, they understood their role and they got the job done. So not easy, but rewarding.
First Open Cup game here at home. Where does this night rank for you all time as a Flint City head coach?
Oh my, I don't know. Winning conference championships is pretty special. I don't want to belittle the first round of the Open Cup by any stretch of the imagination, but just a celebratory night and credit to the guys, and they should enjoy the win. And we told them before the game, let's make some memories and, you know, enjoy every moment out there on the pitch, and it looked like they did.
All right, thank you, Coach, for your time. Congrats on the win as well. Good luck the rest of the way. Flint City head coach Paul Doro. Nil over USL 1 side Forward Madison. We're joined here with Drew Pearson. Drew, you're part of the back line, clean sheet. What was kind of the message going into the game for you guys?
I think the message going in the game was, I mean, we all know you only get these opportunities once in a lifetime. And, I mean, some of us learned each other's name about a couple hours ago. So, I mean, we just said there's nothing really to lose. Go out there and enjoy it. We've all worked really hard. A lot of talented players in this group. So just go out there and leave it all out there is really the simple message.
Were there a couple kind of miscues with you guys defensively, communication, because you guys haven't played with each other before?
Yeah, I think there were a few, but not many. Honest, I mean, it was pretty good. I know we were still learning each other's names like throughout the game a little bit to get it down. But for I mean, just meeting each other today, there were, I mean, very few mistakes, which is great in the back line.
You guys made life super difficult for Ford Mass. It seemed like you guys contested, tried to block every single shot. What was kind of your mindset personally as a player coming into this game?
I think the biggest mindset was we knew they were a big, fast, physical team, and I mean, you got to step up to the challenge. I think we were just saying that you got to step up and play with them. I mean, we weren't as tall and as big as them, but we knew that we were just going to have to go with the area balls. That was their most dangerous thing, to be honest, was we knew they were going to pump it in behind on us. Corners, free kicks, all that was dangerous. So, I mean, you just got to contest every ball and make the most of it was the main thing for me.
Very physical game. I hope you guys don't have a ton of bruises and bumps all over the place. But did that kind of throw you off your game at all with how physical it was, or was it just business as usual?
No, I don't think it threw me off much. I mean, I think college kind of sets you up for that a lot. Coming from the college game, it's really physical here in the States. So, I mean, I thought it was pretty similar. Obviously, they were a bit bigger and faster, but I don't think it was a whole lot different than college, which was good to see. I mean, it's nice to know that all the preparation in college is led up for these moments, and that felt prepared today for the game.
All right, lastly, how far can this team go in this tournament?
I don't even know who we play next, but I think sky's the limit. I mean, we're really confident in that group, and I know we're all buzzing right now. It's the best players I've ever played with, so I think sky's the limit.
Learned each other's names just hours before going out and competing. I guess the sky is the limit, right? You're just kind of going out and having fun, and so that's a really good group there with Flint City, Flint City Bucks. I appreciate everybody that got to stop by and chat with Ryan, including Paul Doro rather. He's a cool guy, and obviously had a lot of great things to say.
The only hard part about that whole post game coverage is I was on the field and I said, like, I had like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of what I wanted to talk about after the game. And then I just like wasn't told about when we were going to break. So I just kept repeating myself for another 2 minutes. And then no one told me anything after that. So I was just like, yeah, Flint City went to 2-0 here. Like, I just was repeating myself. Like, it was just the same thing over again, just trying to use different words and stuff. But yeah, it was unbelievable. The atmosphere in the environment in there. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and it would be a riot to see them have the opportunity to play DCFC. I think that would be so much fun.
Yeah, it comes out
especially
today.
when we talk about the two biggest clubs in that area of the state of Michigan. Really, in Michigan, you could argue, is the Flint City Bucks and DCFC. So that would be a really cool kind of, because I know Flint City, I wouldn't, DCFC probably has a larger like supporter section, but even Flint City, I mean, you were talking about yesterday, brought out thousands of people to the event. So there's clearly a community feel around that team, given their history and everything. So that would be the battle for the state of Michigan, the state championship. I feel like would be fun to see between those two, because they normally don't meet during the regular season. So
No.
it would be awesome to see them meet there.
Yeah, no, I was trying to figure out, because I was told that the draw is today, but I didn't see. I just searched it up. It said 9 o'clock Eastern. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Or,
Okay.
no, but that seems
Alright.
too late. So I don't know. We'll have to figure that
We
out.
got to do a double check. All right, sounds good. Yeah, but it's fascinating. I mean, I think the simplicity of the sport is one of the big reasons why people love it, and I guess that's why you can learn people's names an hour or so before the game and still go out and compete. So that was really fun. But let's get to question of the day.
Oh wait, I think maybe it did come. Oh wait, no, that can't. Okay, maybe I was just tripping on that, because I just found a list of games that are playing. Oh, that was for the MLS sides. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
We'll figure that out
All right.
soon. Anyway, question of the day
Gotcha.
presented by Salt Athletic, official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off the #1 smell-proof cleat bag that 100% works. Visit saltathletic.com today or
Ooh.
scan that QR code on your screen if you want a chance to win a free one. Just head over to Instagram, drop us a follow at NatSoccerTV. But again, anyway, question of the day.
Zoom.
What is the best sports tournament?
I mean, it has to be March Madness, right? Yeah, it's probably going to go with March Madness just because of the unpredictability of what the first couple of rounds are, and I think that's kind of what people like. You know, like it is it probably that either that or the World Cup, right? Like it has to be one of the two. I think the World Cup is fun. The only issue with the World Cup is, I mean, I just feel like sometimes
it's 4 years.
You will give. It is 4 years. It's once every 4 years. Also, you kind of know who the powerhouses are. Like you have an idea as to who you're going to see once those final couple of matchups come around. I guess you could say the same thing about March Madness. The only difference is like, you know, like every now and again you see the favorite in the tournament go down in the first couple of rounds. So I think in terms of the parity, in terms of the amount of people that watch it that don't normally watch sports but still get involved in it, it just feels like a national holiday. So I would probably put those two at the top. NHL playoffs is close. That's in there, especially if the Wings are good, which they haven't been good for a while. So I would understand why people would be like, you know, so, but they did. Yeah. Big win for them yesterday. But I would almost have to go March Madness or the World Cup, which is ironic because I feel like that's all we've talked about for the last week and some change.
I would say March Madness for sure. I just think all the craziness that goes on with it. They say is March Madness. It's expect the unexpected. I thought it was really good. I can't really say no. NFL maybe it's single elimination. One bad day like the Lions did against the Commanders. One bad game and you're out.
The Midwest League playoffs are pretty fun. I'd say those are pretty fun. It's only about 5 games long, but you know, that's a good one.
Yeah, no, I just think any single elimination game is the best because one bad day and you're out. So that's what I would say. The World Cup I would say is Ryan's getting signed to a rap deal after that ad read. Yeah, I move really quick. That was the whole point. Just no, I just think any single elimination is the best. That's why, like, I can't really say the Champions League. World Cup is good, I think, just because of you can still get upsets. Like, you know your best ones, but you still no matter what will get a big power out in the group stage. Well, now you probably won't anymore, but no, I'm just now there's more rounds, so maybe there would be more upsets. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what the new format looks like.
Yeah, exactly. But that'll wrap up episode 254. Again, a big thank you to everybody who drops in. Shrocky, you know, you're the bomb, man. Thanks for dropping in all those comments. We appreciate you as always, and everybody else who watches every day. Again, if you want to see our full episodes, go to our YouTube page. It's up on our YouTube page if you want to take a look back at any of our episodes, as well as the conversations we had with those people around Flint City yesterday. Shout out Irene's, by the way. I definitely have to stop by there. I saw they have Bavarian pretzels. So that is all
with the Bavarian pretzel when you get in.
That's all the inspiration I need to go visit a place like that. So I will certainly try to stop in when I'm back over on that side of town.
Is there a bracket challenge for the World Cup? I mean, I've never done one. Maybe.
Me neither.
I don't know. We'd have to wait and find. We'll wait like 80 more days and we'll find out.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right. Predict who comes out of the groups and do it all. I'd love to do it on the show. Maybe we do By the way, something else we got to talk about. Top 10 fan bases in the World Cup, because I heard Alexi Lalas talking about that yesterday, and he cracked me up because I think he put the U.S. at number 2. So that's he's just rage baiting the folks the way he normally does.
The World Cup qualifiers next week. Are we going to find out who the? I think so. We'll find out who the 4th team in the group's going to be next week for the United States. So okay, that sounds good. I didn't realize that. I just thought about that. So yeah, maybe I would say Shark. Maybe after every team is qualified. That's what I would say.
Yeah. All right, brother. That'll wrap up episode 254. We will talk to you guys on Monday at 9 a.m. We're going to have a lot to report because a lot going on this weekend. Make sure you keep it locked. National Soccer Network on social media and Sports Nation TV. That's sports with a Z for our all sports content. Until we talk to you guys on Monday. So long, everybody.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This